Your new home for podcasts and original music.
The Zagnif One Radio Network.
Nick Saban does not play anybody less than he doesn't put anybody less on the field than his very best players.
Bama does what Bama do.
Sorry,
I heard a noise. My bad. Somebody just left it on. Left it on my step.
That Colorado defense is definitely underrated, but they ended up pulling it out late. They have one of the players to watch for, Isaiah Spiller.
Oh, it's better. It's better now. Trust me. Like back in the day, there was at least one murder. So I mean, it's better now.
You realize that you're not doing anything to press your case by getting you to go down there. No, man, come on down there. It was only one murder. They're only averaging one murder a year.
And shout out to Florida. They're playing them this Saturday. Number 11 ranked Florida playing number 1 Alabama. So I think that's going to be a high scoring game. And
wow. Well played, Collin. Well played. I did not see that one coming. you get a double finger point, one for me and one for Sean. You know, you.
Here we go. Get your popcorn ready.
So what's the big thing?
Well, hello, gang. Hey, how's everybody doing? What a day it has been. Yeah, not a lot to say. I mean, you all saw it. UGA comes in, ranked above Bama. First time Bama's an underdog. And he scores identical to last year. Bama winds up pulling it out of the box again. So we wait to see how the rankings shake out tomorrow at noon. Michigan's still playing Iowa. In just a few minutes, that game's kicking off. So basically, it boils down to what happens between Michigan and Iowa. Notre Dame sitting idle this week. Oklahoma State falls to Baylor. So Big 12 now out of the running for the national championship. I should have a guest coming on here in just a bit. Nate Snell's supposed to be joining me. I don't know what to say. I got nothing. I really don't. I thought the game was going to be closer. That much I definitely thought. I am definitely shocked that the game is going to be close. The game was not as close as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a touchdown or less. I know Georgia was favored by 6.5 coming in. We all know how that goes. Every time Bama is ranked as the underdog under Nick Saban, they manage to find a way to win. Gosh, if you guys are watching, feel free to drop a comment or hey, how you doing? I know most of you guys are switching over right now to see what happens with Michigan, Iowa, and that's absolutely fine. Nate, if you're watching, click the link and come on in, bro. I'm waiting on you. Nate Snell's going to be joining in just a bit from the Big Nate podcast. With his 2 cents, we're going to talk a few things. Honestly, I can. What happened? I tell you what happened. In addition to us, the defense was not nearly. Nick Saban managed to figure out to do what no other team that we played this year could do, and that is keep our defense at bay. One of the things that my co-host Collin and I, Collin's got the B-man with him tonight. Otherwise, I'd have him jump on. But one of the things that we said on Monday is that one of the keys to the game, you got to get after Bryce Young. Auburn stayed in Bryce Young's face all day, kept him off his game, and the defense did a very, very good job of keeping him at bay in the second half. They just couldn't do it in the first half. Nate, I see you in the green room. I'll bring you on in just a second. Actually, I'll go ahead and bring Nate on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, joining us today, the host of the Big Nate podcast. You can catch him whenever he is able to get on YouTube. I also share all of his links to the Zagnif One streaming page, Mr. Nathan Snell. How you doing, brother? Good to see you, man.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Like I said, if you guys are in the comment section, please drop us a comment. I know there's some Bama fans out there and some Georgia haters that has some things that they want to say. So, you know, now's your opportunity. Now is your
Yes.
opportunity. The one thing that I will say is that that's what I was talking about. The keys to the game. We talked on Monday about the keys to the game. Key number one, keep Bryce Young running. If you can keep Bryce Young running and off his reads, you can disrupt his flow. Auburn did it for 4 quarters the other night, the last week. Texas A&M was successful. Who else? LSU.
You.
You know, there were a couple of very dysfunctional football programs that were able to successfully. I mean, Bama still beat all of them except for A&M, but even last week, that coming right down to it, and that was a game that was going to determine if they would even make the playoffs, whether they won or lost today. So, so that was number one. No, actually, that was number two. Number one was our defense was not. It was the guys were out there. You could see them doing what they do, but Nick Saban figured out a way to keep the defense at bay. He figured out a way to keep the run game. I mean, Alabama was the number 2 team in the nation on rush defense.
Yeah.
And they managed to. We had a brief little in the beginning of the game. The run game was going smooth. Nick regrouped and shut that down. The biggest thing, the absolute biggest thing, turnovers. Both Collin and I have been all season long been giving Stetson Bennett all the praise that we could give him. Saying he's doing everything that he can to win games. But a lot of the detractors, and we see a lot of them. Trust me, I'm in. Every time I see a University of Georgia football group, I join it. Every single UGA group I'm in, it's like Stetson Bennett is a turnover machine. Stetson Bennett is a turnover machine. Stetson Bennett is a turnover machine. And the last time he had an opportunity to play against Bama, he threw 3 interceptions. Tonight he threw 2. Both of them, one was a pick six, and the other one gave the ball to Bama in the second quarter, late second quarter, which allowed them to march down the field and score another touchdown. So we gave Alabama 14 points off turnovers. If we hadn't given them those turnovers, 41-10 is 31, and 4 is 24. Am I adding that up right?
Yes, you are.
14 points? No,
14.
that would be 38. 24, 27. The game would have been close. The game would have been closer if we hadn't given them those points off turnovers. I mean, just making the assumption we hadn't scored. We still didn't score. The game would have been a lot closer. In the end, one of the light bulbs just kicked on. I thought it had blown out. I was getting ready to say those are LED lights. They're not supposed to burn out like that. Anyway. That's basically what happened, man. We gave him the game. Did you get a chance to watch any of it? I know you were just getting in around the time you pinged me.
Yeah, I did. Georgia came in, I believe, coming into this game. I think the most they've given up is on the average 240 yards per game.
Mm-hmm.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah, about 240. Well, you're actually talking. That's Stetson Bennett's passing yardage. So
I thought that was defensively.
Oh, defensively. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
And then Stetson Bennett, I'm looking at. I took my notes before you got on. 29 or 48. I mean, he had 340 yards, but throwing 2 interceptions and then the pick 6. Obviously, that wasn't good. Kirby Smart, I just don't think he can. As far as game manager wise, I don't think he can. He's got to make some type of improvements. I thought JT Daniels would have been ready as well, but I guess not.
Well, that and like I said, the Georgia groups are going to have a field day with this. There's going to be a whole lot of Why was JT not put in the game? You know, the question was asked all week long. Georgia's never really had to play too far from behind. What happens if they get down 2 touchdowns? Does Kirby Smart make a quarterback change? I could have told you from jump that he wasn't going to, just because, remember, it was just 4 years ago that Jake Fromm was the quarterback. And
Jake Fromm.
yeah, by the way, old Jake from State Farm is finally on an active roster. Congratulations with the New York Giants. I know that doesn't mean a lot. I think he's a third stringer, but he just he just got bumped up a notch because
Daniel Jones is not playing.
Danny Dimes is out. But it was the same thing. He stayed behind Jake the following season. Like, Jake Fromm had an excellent season the year we made the national championship run.
Yep.
But the following season was not quite so great, and that was also the year that Justin Fields decided to transfer out. I don't know. I mean,
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Do you think JT Daniels not playing was on his part of how he performed against Missouri? Do you think it had something to do with that?
I honestly can't say. And to be 100% transparent, one of the things that Georgia fans have had the luxury of this year is when a game gets out of hand, you kind of tune the game out. Or I think that particular game I may have dozed off, so I didn't see all of the action. So I have the stats to look at, but I like to watch the game and see the eye test and get my eye test and see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly can't say. I think a big part of it was JT has already established himself as being fragile. We've seen what happens with fragile quarterbacks. I mean, look at Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, he's still playing, but he's had so many injuries in his first couple of years that
they moved the pendulum on him.
Yeah. I mean, he's had so many injuries in the first couple of years as a pro, plus that catastrophic injury he had before he even went pro. He's only maybe another minor injury or two away from being out of the league as a young man. So, JT had the big injury while he was at USC. He had the injury this season. He's got an arm. He definitely has an arm.
He definitely does. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely has an arm. We've also seen now that Stetson has an arm. And the problem that
he's not. He wasn't. He's not. He's still got some room to improve. A lot of it. I felt like he wasn't comfortable in the pocket tonight. I think his ability to read defenses, particularly in the fourth quarter, and I think when you rush even just 4, like he doesn't.
It's not even about how many people got rushed. It's how many people get through. Now, the big stat that was talked about heavily. I don't know. The big stat that was talked about heavily was that he's only been sacked 6 times this season prior to this game. So
which is not bad at all. I mean, that says more about the offensive line than anything.
Yeah, he didn't get touched a lot. I mean, I don't know too many quarterbacks that didn't have at least, 4 sacks this season. So for him to have 2 more, and then I take that back. Let me roll that back for a second. He's only been sacked 6 times this season, but generally they're winning going away, which means he only plays about 2.5 quarters of football.
Right.
So he's really only played 6 games, and he's been sacked 6 times in 6 games. So if you do the math, matter of fact, they were talking about tonight that he's never had to throw. He's only thrown 11 passes in the fourth quarter cumulatively the entire season. Tonight he threw 12 or 13 in the fourth quarter.
I think some of that had to do with, again, I think when you're playing from behind, I think you gotta kind of have to blame Coach Smart and the offensive coordinator. Like, they're not making it easy for the offense. I think they're trying to do too much. I definitely saw that, especially like before they had the opportunity, before it was like 7 minutes left. I don't know. Like, they could have made some audibles. They could have.
Well, that was a big question for me too. You got 7 minutes left in the game and 3 timeouts. Why weren't you maybe calling timeouts to slow down momentum?
Especially around the 5-minute mark.
I think I know where he was going with this. Now, I'm not Kirby Smart, but I think he put a lot of faith in his defense because they had forced three and outs prior that quarter. The previous three possessions had forced those three and outs. He had faith in his defense, which has been a phenomenal defense, but this defense got tested tonight, and they got taken to the they got taken to the woodshed. Well, I won't say they got taken to the woodshed because, like I said,
They got checked.
14. Yeah, they got checked. They got chin checked because 14 of those points were from defensive takeovers, defensive takeaways. So, it is what it is. God, it's hard to say it is what it is when your team just lost. On the biggest stage this year in the biggest game. I
thought for Alabama when John Mechie went down, I thought that would have turned some heads, like some morale would have dropped. But no, it didn't phase him one bit. So you got to give Bryce Young credit. You got to give Nick Saban credit.
Which I don't want to do.
No, me neither. I congratulations. I wish I had that little congratulations clip.
I do it for you. Congratulations! Oh my God! I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't want. Listen. Make no mistake about it. I've got all the respect in the world for Nick Saban and what he has done with that program in Tuscaloosa. Nick Saban, I will say this, and I love Kirby Smart. Nick Saban is the best coach in the game right now. I would venture to say that he's the best coach in the game right now between college and pro. I know college and pro are two different things, but just seeing what he's been able to do is phenomenal at Tuscaloosa.
I got to think about that one.
I'm just saying, I think he's the best coach. I'll say this. I'll back up off the NFL statement. Nick Saban is the best coach in college football right now, period, hands down. You thinking about that too long, man. I don't do I need to give you some Jeopardy music? If you don't stop playing with me, who's in the comment section?
Sean.
Who's in the comment section? I will say this. I was going to thank you, Sean. Sean Spencer, one of the hosts of multiple programs across the Let's Talk Football, family of shows. Watching us, that's our boy. Brock Bowers, bright spot for the game. Brock Bowers.
He needs to stay another year or two. He's not in the NFL already yet.
He's a freshman. He can't. He's a freshman.
I know, but I'm just saying someone will put that in his ear.
Nah, he's a freshman. He can't go this year. They would descend to NCAA. This is an NCAA basketball where you can one and done. I think he has to at least go this year, next year, and then after that he can go. But he needs to stick around. But that boy is listen. I don't know if you watch Scooter Magruder or not, but just to quote Scooter Magruder, Brock Bowers is a grown man. Did you see that touchdown where he shook?
Yep. 6
dudes? He was just like, get off me. Oh my God, get off me. Like he just shook them off and just walked into the end zone like it was nothing. Brock Bowers, definitely a bright spot. I was happy to see Pickens come in and get some plays. He did have a big play earlier in the first half. I still think Kirby's being cautious with him, being very smartly cautious with him. I mean, they still had the potential to go to the college football playoff at this point. Unless the world turns upside down, they will probably at worst wind up being ranked 3.
So just to make sure I understand this, so these games were to just see the rankings for the actual playoffs.
Yes, they are. Now,
okay.
Alabama,
I've always had that confusion watching college football.
Alabama had to win to get in, and they did that.
Are they going off by conference?
Conference wins, current standing. Conference win. I think it is current ranking in the CFP, number of wins, and then conference wins. Because Notre Dame right now is a 1-loss team, but they're ranked that number. They're independent because they're not, but they're ranked 6th. What Notre Dame needed was Oklahoma State to lose today
And
which
which
they
they did.
did.
I saw that game when I was at the barbershop.
I heard so bad. To all of my Oklahoma State Cowboys fans, I'm sorry. I sincerely
I don't
thought
know
this
what
was the
I
year.
don't know what kind of play that was. That's like a inbounds from half court with like 1.2 seconds left, and we're just gonna just heave it and just pray. Like he should have cut back outside, but he tried to play hero ball. If that makes sense.
Thank you. I got my homeboy. He's not. He's watching, but he's not in the comments. He says football players can't enter the draft until the graduating class junior year.
Oh,
So
thank
we
you.
got so we got Brock for another 2 years.
Okay.
I always have wondered about that, and thank you for clarifying that for me, Ash. Ashley, AJ Johnson, one of my high school classmates, Windsor Forest High School class of 1988. Go Windsor! His daughter actually won one of the Bama Does with Bama Do T-shirts, but we weren't able to get it to her in time enough for her to wear it to the because she's a Bama fan, so we weren't able to get it to her in time enough to get there to wear it. Man, that would have been some great promo. She's in this with the shirt on. Bama Does what Bama Do. You know what? I gotta. I can't say it without throwing it out there. I gotta get a Bama Does what Bama Do because let's be real, they did it. They do what they do every single time. Every time you think you can count them out, they pull one out of the. They pull.
The Bama does what Bama do.
There we go. So now we just gotta wait and see what happens tomorrow. The playoff committee announces their picks for the top four and the two outside, the 5 and 6, at noon tomorrow Eastern time. So my projection is Alabama 1, Cincinnati 2, Georgia 3, and then either
I actually
Notre
had that
Dame,
written down on my phone. Hold on.
either Notre Dame or Michigan at 4, depending on how that game shakes out.
I said Georgia would be a number 1 seed. I said Michigan would be number 2.
What, with a Georgia loss? Now, if we'd won today, and Michigan wins this game that just kicked off about 19 minutes ago, I would have said Georgia, Cincinnati, Michigan, Notre Dame.
I put Cincinnati at 4, but I understand.
Well, my thing
how I was doing it, and I mean, y'all can clown me if you want. I was going off by the record and how they were ranked for the season. That's how I was doing it. If that makes sense.
I feel you. So basically, we know historically how the committee feels about G5 teams, and we know how they feel about independents like Notre Dame, because Notre Dame, as much as good a program as Notre Dame is, Notre Dame has not necessarily been good for business, because every time they get in, they get curb stomped.
True.
So
do you think they would have done it this year if Brian Kelly didn't leave?
What, passed them over?
Mm-hmm. Would they gotten over the hump?
Would they have gotten over the hump if he didn't leave?
Mm-hmm.
Probably, because with the scenario that we're sitting in right now, more than likely, yes. Just because there's no way they can. I mean, what other team did you have on the back end other than Baylor? And Baylor has 2 losses. Yes, they won their conference, but they've got 2 losses. Notre Dame has 1 loss, and their 1 loss is to the currently number 3 team in the country. Yeah, I mean, so they want to find a reason to leave them out, but they can't come up with one. And realistically speaking, up until 30 minutes ago, there were 3 undefeated teams in the country: Cincinnati, Georgia, and UTSA. Now, UTSA is not going to magically jump up into this. Good Lord, could you see if that happened? I would listen. If that happened, I'd have to pull a Nate and drop my pen and just walk off set. I would. And I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't have an answer for why things went the way they did today. But there have been some clues that we have pointed to, that Georgia's defense has not really been tested. We played
No.
some teams that had some offenses that were good to well above average at that point in the season when we played them. But then we see where they wound up. But we have not played someone all season that has been consistently week in, week out, able to get the job done. I mean, you're talking about Bryce Young, who now at this point is probably going to win. If there's any question, who's more than likely going to win most of the Heisman votes from the sports writers, that's a wrap. That's a wrap. With what Bryce Young did yesterday, plus what my God, what he did last week against Auburn, and what he did today, he's more than likely going to win the majority of the writers' votes. Now, fan votes, UGA fans are going crazy voting for Jordan Davis. So, but they don't count. It's like taking an exam in high school where you had 27 questions, but 20 of them counted for 20 of the questions counted for 80% of the grade, and the other 7 counted for 20%. So I don't know. I don't have an answer. I really don't. I would love to have seen Georgia finally get that monkey off their back. So, this year, Jimbo Fisher is still sitting alone, is the only assistant to beat Nick Saban. And Harbaugh sits alone atop the throne as the only coach to get the monkey off his back against his number one rival. So here we sit. But you had some stuff you wanted to talk about too, sir.
With the whole coaching.
Oh, the old coaching carousel.
Well, actually, you said Jimbo Fisher is the only one who hasn't beaten Nick Saban.
No, who has beaten Nick Saban?
Mike Loxley hasn't beaten Nick Saban yet.
No. I said Jimbo Fisher is the only one of Nick Saban's former assistants to beat him.
Mike Loxley hasn't faced him yet.
Okay, well that's fair, but that doesn't mean he's going to do it. We got a question on the table here: who's better, Jordan Davis from Georgia, or Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan? To be completely honest, Sean, I haven't seen enough of Aiden Hutchinson other than last week.
Either. I've seen some YouTube clips of him,
but hey, brother, you welcome to throw your 2 cents in the comments and fill us in.
I saw the snow game when they played Ohio State, but
he was nasty. Make no mistake about it. He was absolutely nasty. I will tell you what. I'm gonna watch the game after Nate and I get off because Nate's gonna call it an early night tonight. But after we get off here, I will definitely be checking that game out. You got stuff. You got stuff you got to handle. Yeah.
Better come back on.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. You think my wife? Look, my wife has sat down with me and watched football all day, and now I'm streaming talking about football. Do you think that she's going to sit through another game with me and then be like, "Where you going to do another show? You just did one." If I buy you some Chinese food, you come sit your rusty dusty down. I almost said something else. Come sit your rusty dusty down and get off the computer. Cat Williams almost came all the way out of me. But yeah, you wanted to talk a little bit about the coaching carousel with all of this stuff that's going on. I have a nugget which I'll share with you. I'll let you go ahead and get yours in, and then I have a nugget I want to share with you.
Sure. So, well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. So,
Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. You're not going to Nate this snail. You're not going to come on my show to say I don't give you opportunity to talk.
I was just to voice my, let me rant. No, but I talked about it on my podcast, and with
you are something. You know that you're really something. Give me the trash. Just give me the trash. I'll take it out. Go ahead, man. I'm just playing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know. I don't like. I just think the timing of these two coaches, Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly, taking the jobs and what they did. If Lincoln Riley hadn't lost that game, would he have left? No. I understand Notre Dame isn't one of the top schools in the league. It's not
but they are.
They are. It's not like Alabama. Let me put it like that.
I got you. They're not an elite team. They're an upper echelon, but not an elite level.
Exactly. And what it shows is that It's just a business. It's weird that coaches, and it's documented, that there are coaches that get mad when players sit out for a bowl game or two, but coaches just leave in the middle of a season and take another job. Where is that's selective outrage? Where is the I just feel like with Brian Kelly, if I was on his team, you're telling me you're leaving through a text message. Like, you couldn't tell me that face to face. As somebody, you recruited me to come to play for your football program.
Right.
Like, now I'm sitting here going, he recruited me to come here. He doesn't tell me to my face that he's leaving. Why would I now? Why would I now want to stay there?
Exactly.
It's not to throw shade on the next coach, because the athletic director now has to go out and find. This is not just with Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley too. And Lincoln Riley had not only he just had not Spencer. I can't think of the other Spencer.
Caleb Williams, Spencer Rattler, and Caleb Williams.
There's another. Was Nelson something.
The kid, the number 2 ranked ESPN 300 quarterback, the one ranked behind Arch Manning.
Yeah, he flipped. He committed to Oklahoma and then turns around and commits to USC. Like, he is not only flipped, but double flipped. So personally, and I said it with the guarantee clip, if Lincoln Riley or Brian Kelly, any coach like that I know would want me to come play for their program, and then and then turn around and go for another job, I wouldn't play for them. I don't want to play for that kind of coach, because to me, it's more about the money. And I understand money talks, but I get it. It's happened throughout the history of college football, but I think at some point, it's starting to become. And then you look at the transfer portal; it's like free agency. Like, Maryland just lost two top 5-star recruits because they're going in the transfer portal. It's like free agency almost. Well, it didn't work out here, so I'm going to go take my talent somewhere else. That's what the coaches are doing. So, if it doesn't work out at USC with Brian Kelly, then what? Lincoln Riley, then what? Brian Kelly going to LSU, that doesn't pan out. Then what? Now the eyes are on you to deliver for those schools. So, yeah, I had really more to say. I wish I could. I should have sent the video.
Yeah, the guy you're thinking about is Malachi Nelson.
Malachi Nelson, that's it. Thank you.
Sean is on fire in the comment section tonight. I think the question is, what are these coaches in game? It's no secret, but you can see what it says there. It's definitely, you're right, Sean. It has been about moving up the totem pole. And it is not just exclusive to the D1 schools. Savannah State, my beloved Savannah State lost their coach, Sean Quinn, to go be part of the coaching staff at Virginia Tech under the new head coach, Fry.
Right.
So a lot of the G5 schools, those are the schools I feel worst for, are the G5 schools, because every single one of those schools at some point has had a coach. You had Scott Frost, who was in Florida at, I want to say, UCF, USF, who wound up leaving to go to Nebraska. You got what's his name at oh God, where was he? The guy that just left to go coach at Florida. Can't remember his name on top of my head.
I know who you're talking about. I see his face, but I can't think of his name on top of my head.
I cannot recall his name right now. Please forgive me, y'all. It's been a long day. My brain is fried. I took no notes. This is the first show I've done all season with no notes. But yeah, it's been known that there was a suggestion made. I was listening to some radio show, CBS radio, the sports radio that comes on after the local franchise goes off the air.
Are you referring to Dan Mullen?
No, not Dan Mullen was their head coach. He got fired. They brought in a coach from, I cannot remember where. It's driving me nuts. Well, tell you what, you look up the new head coach of Florida while
I'm
I'm
looking at it
talking
right
about
now.
this. But the
Bill
suggestion was
Napier.
thank you. And he
Bill
was from
Napier.
Louisiana. That's where he's from. Bill Napier from Louisiana. See, I knew if I got his name, I'd get to school. I'm coming back to your comment in a second, Sean. The suggestion was made. It's like, okay, if you decide to take another job with another school before the end of the season, you are not allowed to leave your program until you have played whatever games you are still committed to play.
I think I agree with that.
Include bowl games and playoff games.
Because to me, that's almost like you walking off the job and you didn't put your 2 weeks in.
Yeah,
There has
like,
to be some type of penalty for that.
Like the thing with the thing with Orgeron was he was already they had already gone ahead and pulled the chain on him, but they let him finish the season. Okay. But
Which I think that should be in most cases. I mean, if you, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but if you didn't exceed a program's expectations or you're getting ready to leave, this is just not in college, but pro too. If I know we're going to move on from him, let him finish out the season, him or her, and go, you know what? Thank you for your service. We're moving on. Don't do that in the middle of the season because that's just more. That's more grease that doesn't need to be added to the pan.
Right. And Sean does make a good point. Nick Saban has set a standard.
Can you put that back up? I'm sorry.
Nick Saban has set a standard. I mean, and this is one of the reasons
is
why
that with college sports or college football?
College football.
Okay.
I think that, and this is one of the reasons why I say he's the best hands down coach in college football right now, because of what he has done, he has set a standard. Now we are now long removed from the days of, I don't want to call them dinosaurs, but long removed from the days of old school where a guy like Joe Paterno comes on and starts coaching like back in 1960 something and coaches up until, and probably would have coached until he died if it weren't for things on how they went down at Penn State, and guys like Bear Bryant that coach until they decide they want to retire. And
I thought he was going to retire after he got his leg ran over by that cart.
I ain't gonna touch that. That sounds like an Al Green hot grit situation, but we gonna leave that alone. Love and happiness. Anyway,
no shade on Joe Paterno. No shade. I really thought he was going to retire after that.
Yeah,
these players are pawns in the coach. I wanted to, if you don't mind, and I wanted to address the last part of what Sean was saying. But most neglected personnel. Are you talking players or coaches?
Coaches.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that.
I'm sorry, Sean, if I spoke out of turn, if that's not what you meant. But yeah,
sure if that was
because you like Brian Kelly. I think out of all of this, the one school that probably won, I know USC got a big deal, but I'm not going to say they won the coaching carousel lottery because they got a coach that said, I'm the coach at the University of Oklahoma and was on a plane to USC, first thing smoking, because they backed up the Brinks truck. You know what I mean? And same thing with Brian. Brian Kelly. Oh, this is why I say this was the thing I wanted to go back to about Brian Kelly. I think Brian Kelly is a very good college coach. I think the problem that Brian Kelly has had at Notre Dame, academic requirements.
Yeah, you got to have I think you got to maintain like a 3.5 or above.
If you're asking your football players to maintain a 3.5, you'll still get some good football players, which they have. But you're not going to get all of the best because some of those guys have 3.0. Like, what about the guys that have 3.0s but not 3.5s? So that like in that 3.1.
I think that's for me. I think that's the school standard, and I feel like a 3.5, is good. 3.0 is good too. Like, I feel like this is just me because, I was a participant in sports. Like, we had to maintain a certain GPA. Like, if you went below at least a 2.0, you're not playing.
Right.
Or you can't practice, you can't join the team. Like, if they're maintaining a 2.5 or 3.0, they should be clear to play.
Michigan up 7-0 right now.
what these players are pawns in their chest. I think it's kind of both. It kind of goes both ways. Like, I mean, I can make the same argument with college basketball. Like, there's 3 schools that I can think of right now where one of them they're starting to feel the squeeze of they're not the dominant school they thought they were.
Are we talking about the one that's kind of close to you and their mascot might have something to do with a turtle?
No, I'm talking about UConn.
Oh, okay. That was my second guess.
We're talking about we're particularly with women's basketball. The men's basketball in Maryland, that's I'll talk about that on the podcast. I'm still shocked that happened. So.
Yeah. Well, let's be but you know, and then on top of that, Notre Dame can afford to do that. Why? Because their bottom line is not really affected like that because they have their own network deal.
Yeah.
Okay. They've got their own network deal. They're independent. So all of their network deals, they make all of their money from their network deals. They are the only people making money. It's not like the SEC where they've got the CBS deal and then they've got the SEC network and they've got to split the TV revenue 14 ways. No, it doesn't work that way because Notre Dame gets all the money. So their bottom line is not hurt by saying we're a private institution. We can afford to say you've got to have a 3.5 to come here.
And also,
Period.
too, especially when you're an athlete, it's tough with time management between class, studying. I'm not trying to make excuses. It's the truth. Like, you got to practice, go to class, study hall, repeat that 7 days a week. That's not easy to do. So, yeah, we're not talking about University of North Carolina. Go Tar Heels, though. But I did want to ask you, Ant, where do you think? If you don't mind, I wanted to go back to Georgia for a second. What does Kirby Smart have to do? Because I feel like they didn't prepare them well enough for this game. To me,
Nick Saban has to retire.
Nick Saban.
I kid. Although I know that the other 13 coaches in the SEC, you cannot tell me that they will not all go, oh, Nick's retired. Oh man, what a great coach. And they will all pay him accolades and they will clap loud as hell and stand up and give him a standing ovation when he retired because all of them will say, finally, parity in the SEC. What does Kirby have to do? Again, there's that old school versus new school coaching mentality. If it was old school coaching mentality, he'd run the hell out of them and cuss them out and beat them upside the head. Like the days of the coaches like Herman Boone even. We all know the story of Remember the Titans. You can't do that no more. Nah, you can't because all it will take is one player who's a fourth stringer who probably is a fourth string senior who wasn't going to see playing time anyway, that's going to find a reason to go home and complain to mom and dad or a teacher or a counselor or insert person here of authority.
I mean, you can make the same argument when they get into the pros. I mean, you do got a lot of diva-like personalities.
You can, but at the pro level, the reason they're looked at differently is because now they're getting paid big money. Now, don't get it twisted. The kids are getting the NIL, but and as a matter of fact, there's that kid Ewers that had a $3 million NIL deal going to Ohio State that is now going back into the portal. But these guys are making big money when they get in the league.
I kind of want, and when they allowed them to get paid, I wanted to know where that money was going. I know, I want them to have some money, but I like to see if they're going to be invested in school. I don't know.
Listen, let's just be real. College football, as we know, with the way things are in today's society, plus the fact that these kids are getting paid, plus the fact that there's a coaching portal, plus the fact that any coach that decides, they decided they're going to pay me $5 million more a year, pay off both my houses and give me access to a private jet, can just jump up and leave right after you lose a playoff game. The time when your team needs you most, and that's bringing me back around to Lincoln Riley. Sean, I'll get to your question in a second. That you can leave at the time that your players most need your coach to go. hey guys, listen, you know, bing, bang, boom, give your speech. Hey, we're still going to get a bowl game. I need you guys to stick with me. We're going to come back. We're going to get the whole gang back together next season. Those of you that are graduating, yada, 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 he'll give them their speech at the bowl game or whatever. Those of you that are here, I need you to stick with me. I need you to believe in me, and we'll make it through the next season. In this era, college football as we used to know it is forever changed, and there's nothing's
sure.
going to happen. Nothing's going to bring that back. The kids,
No.
the deal has been made where the kids can make their money, and if
Go to a school where they want to. I really think sometimes also
it's
too.
like,
go ahead. No, finish your point.
it's like that Dr. Pepper commercial where they're trying to talk the kid out of joining the transfer portal. He's like, "Have you seen the depth chart? I'm 5th on the depth chart. I'll never see the field." They're like, "But you're a sophomore." He's like, "Rico's time is now." That commercial. By the way, Dr. Pepper. Well done. I gotta segue away for a second. I got a sidebar. I don't know if you guys are seeing the Dr. Pepper Fansville commercial. Spoiler alert. The commercial where they say, well, it's going to be a long off season, and they all go, off season. What are we doing in the off season? He's like, relax. We don't disappear just because we still have lives outside of the regular season. And they're like, yeah, we're real people. It's not like we're some sort of fantasy drawn up promotional marketing tool for somebody. And they're like, yeah. It said, at least we're not the Dr. Pepper. Get your ice cold Dr. Pepper. Wait a minute, hold on. I messed that up. It said, at least we're not the get your ice cold Dr. Pepper here guy. And then the camera pans out, and Fansville is inside a snow globe. And you see Larry, the Dr. Pepper guy, laying down a cup of Dr. Pepper next to his shades and his visor. So for those of you that didn't catch that, Dr. Pepper just pulled a St. Elsewhere. I'm aging myself. Look it up. Look up Dr. I'm not even going to explain it. Just look up St. Elsewhere season finale, where the whole Fansville is a figment of Larry, the Dr. Pepper guy's imagination, and they live in a freaking snow globe. Well played, Dr. Pepper. Okay, I'm back. Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley's agent, I just found this out today. I watch as much sports vlogging as possible, kind of do my back research to see what's real and what's not, and which guys are just talking out of their buttholes. But Lincoln Riley's agent, Trace Armstrong, nobody's taking a look at this guy.
Trace Armstrong, that name sounds familiar.
He's Lincoln Riley's agent. I'm coming back to all your stuff, Sean. Stay with me. He's Lincoln Riley's agent. So there is some evidence that points to, do you remember a couple of weeks ago? Now, where did everybody think Lincoln Riley was going a couple of weeks ago?
LSU.
They thought he was going to LSU. There's some evidence that points to that Trace Armstrong behind the scenes pulled the strings to make the LSU.
Trace Armstrong that played for the Oakland Raiders, Dolphins, the defensive end.
I don't know if that's the same guy, man. I didn't do that much research.
That
Just hear me out.
I'm listening.
Hear me out. There's evidence that points to, and I don't know if this is true or not, that he pulled the strings behind the scenes to get the LSU rumors started. It was a whole Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Everybody was looking over here for him to go to LSU. Everybody was going crazy. I'm tracking planes back and forth to LSU from Norman, Oklahoma. The rumor is that from a good inside source that he's got a verbal agreement to start at LSU. He pulled those strings, the story goes, to get that rumor started so that over here they could quietly broker this USC deal.
Well, I kind of blame Johnson because I know they were doing all this whole venting like, we needed this guy, we need that guy.
Now, wait a minute. I'm going to throw another monkey wrench in this story. I give you 3 guesses who else Trace Armstrong represents, and the first 2 don't count.
Their current college coaches?
Yep. You think it too hard. It's too easy.
Brian Kelly?
Yes, sir. That man negotiated a deal for Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly, $200 million. Think about what his commission is. That man could retire.
Well, they better take him Christmas shopping.
Huh, man. They don't got to take a Christmas shopping. My man got his own accounts. My man got his own accounts. To go back to some comments here, to not rush by these here while we're still on. Where is it? Come on here. There we go. Mr. Sean asked, why is it not doing what it's supposed to do? Does Saban versus his assistants play into tonight's game? I don't believe it did. I just honestly, I just think that for right now, that Kirby Smart has not figured out how to beat Nick Saban yet. Now, in Harbaugh's case, he's played against a few coaches, so we can't really blame it on the coach. It's a program. But in this particular case, it is Kirby Smart versus Nick Saban. The last time that Georgia beat Alabama, Mark Richt was still coaching there, and Matt Stafford was still playing. So it tells you how long it's been. Do the math. 2006, I believe it was. Somebody looked at it.
That's before Saban got to Alabama.
Right.
He got there in 07. Am I saying that right?
His first season was 06. And it was his first season.
Okay. Sorry, I was a year off.
To answer your – and then moving along, yeah, I pulled that out as Fansville, yes. St. Elsewhere, that was Denzel Washington. For those of you that are Denzel fans, that was Denzel Washington's first major role on a television program back in the 80s. Yeah. You're not young enough to know. NBC used to dominate the airwaves. This was during the days of Cheers and Seinfeld and Friends were not even on at this point. This was Cheers, and The Cosby Show had not yet debuted, but those were Cheers and St. Elsewhere, the two biggest programs on TV at that point. Trace Armstrong did play for Chicago.
That's what I thought. Okay, he played. I know something told me. I said that name sounds familiar. So,
yeah, but that's what we're hearing. And it figures that it would take a guy that was in the league, that knew the ins and outs of how things work on the back end with the agents, to get to be able to represent these two premier coaches in the NCAA football and negotiate. I'm just saying, if he just got 10% off top, let's say it's 15%. 15% of $200 million is $30 million. That's a good paycheck.
That's a pension.
Yeah, he could tuck that away in the account in the Cayman Islands and never have to work again a day in his life. He could retire tomorrow. Plus, if he paid long enough in the league, he could still live off his league pension if he played long enough. I think it's what 300, 350, maybe 400 right now. 400K. I could live real easy off 400K. But yeah, that's basically what's going on right now. And I'm back in the office this week, so it will be interesting gauging the temperature amongst my coworkers, because the bulk of them are Sooner fans, and there's a smaller section of them that are Cowboys fans. So there's that. I do have a message I do want to send. The Get Back guy. The Get Back guy got his workout in today. The Get Back guy had his workout in today. Did you see Kirby on the sidelines? Kirby still got some hops.
He does.
I wonder if he was contemplating throwing on it. I should just put on a uniform and go play my damn self. He's getting all that money to keep the coach from pulling a grown man by his belt loop. You getting paid all that money to pull a grown man by his belt loop? Coach, come here. I got something on my finger. I need some hand sanitizer. You had corn for dinner. That's nasty. I kid. But I have a message I want to share. There are some folks that are going to come, and they're going to have some things to say. And that's absolutely quite all right. But this is just specifically for the folks that are my fellow fans of SEC teams. Unless your team is housed in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and plays for a coach, a 70-year-old coach, whose wife lays out a couple of oatmeal pies for him on Sunday. Oh, Miss Terry might let him have an extra oatmeal pie since they won the championship. It's like his bonus. An extra Little Debbie oatmeal cream pie. And currently has a line of commercials with the coach of Jackson State University, who, by the way, won the SWAC championship today.
Yes.
If you are not a fan of any of those teams, please don't come for me, because chances are pretty good that the same team that beat us today beat you, and we also beat you. So y'all didn't get it done. We didn't get it done. I'll say it. We didn't get it done today. But just prepare. I will turn into Nicholas Rosario if you come for me, especially if we beat you. You gonna get all the smoke. All the smoke. You gonna get the Snoop Dogg smoke. You gonna get the Willie Nelson smoke. You gonna get the throwback the throwback Cheech and Chong with George Carlin smoke in the 1970s. You gonna get all that smoke, all of it. You gonna get the Joe Rogan smoke. I'm just saying. While I'm not happy with the results, I'm very proud of what the Dogs have done this year. They have had nothing short of an incredible season.
Great season.
It has only been
on TV. Roll Tide.
Yeah, I know. And Gary
it's like
Daniels
watching basketball. Gary Daniels. Go ahead.
Oh,
sorry.
Gary Danielson tried so hard not to sound like a Alabama homer, but once the game was out of hand, he was just like, they're not catching up anyway. That's when they started laying praise on him. Even worse. I give you 3 guesses what the score was when we played them last year.
Georgia versus Alabama?
Yep.
Had to be the same score.
I was going to say, you thinking too hard again. The same doggone score. How you going to lose? I love you. Dogs, I love you. How you going to lose to the same team twice in a year by the same score, boo-boo? The same damn score, boo-boo. Not just the same score, but the same damn score. Shut in the night. Should have bought a Hyundai. Anyway. All right. I'm back. So right now, the Bama fans and the guys we do a show with most of the season, but it's 0-0. We're in the playoffs, 2 playoff wins, and we got it. I sincerely hope that
I think he's going to have them prepared better.
What does this loss mean if Georgia plays Bama in the CFP final? Nothing if we beat them.
Right.
Because once you get to the playoffs, it is win or go home. Like all of the you can lose and still get in, that stopped today. Every game from this point going forward, that being
you go home.
You either win or go home. So if we beat Bama, if we wind up drawing the straw and beating Bama, it depends on how the seedings go. Although right now it looks like we'll probably wind up playing Cincinnati or Michigan. Depends whether or not Michigan wins or loses. If we wind up drawing Bama in the playoffs and playing them again come January and we win, Bama goes home. Period. That's it. The CFP rankings will not save them from that point.
Nope.
So Deep Sea 185, thank you for joining us today here on This Week in SEC, this special edition of This Week in SEC Football with my guest on the show today, my man Nathan Snell of the Big Nate Podcast. You can catch Nate on YouTube under your name, Nathan Snell, right? That's your YouTube page. It is called the Big
One Nathan Snell together, yes.
One Nathan Snell on YouTube. He's normally on. It varies what time he's on. All you got to do is go to YouTube and type in the Big Nate Podcast, and it'll pop right up. He's the only one on YouTube, so check him out. And he talks all the way around the horn, all types of sports. From a psychological perspective, what does it mean?
I think it motivates Georgia, honestly.
Yeah, I do too. I put it to you like this, Deep Sea. Don't expect to see a repeat of Oregon, Utah Part 2.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Because I thought that Oregon was going to show up and show out. I thought that if Oregon lost, they were going to lose by a closer score. And Utah just showed up and said, I guess we didn't say it clear enough when we saw y'all last week. Did you not hear what I said the first time? Don't let me see you in the neighborhood no more. Remember all of that? You remember when I told you that? They didn't get the message. So the Utah Utes.
Did you say Utes?
Yeah, 2 Utes.
What is a Ute?
The Utah Utes. The Utes have beat them a second time. It's like, look, even Big Red had enough sense to not fight Debo again until he got knocked out. My grandmama gave me that chain. I don't think we'll see a repeat of that again. You all right, Nate? Did I break Nate? I think we broke Nathan.
Utah is paying for those 2 players that were killed. They're playing inspired. Yes,
They absolutely are. They absolutely
Definitely.
are. And man, look, did you see the moms? Did you see those boys' moms sitting in the stands,
It was
just
great.
trying to
It was
fight back,
nice to see them there.
trying to fight back some
Back
tears.
to tears. Yeah. Definitely emotional for
So,
them.
you know, all things considered, I don't know where Utah is going to wind up. I don't think they get a playoff spot. I mean, like I said, all hell would have to break loose. Like a scandal would have to come out about Nick Saban. Georgia would just have to
happen.
Georgia would.
Nick Saban
Georgia,
kind of reminds me of like Coach Gino from UConn. They're kind of like the same exact coach. I can't like when they win, it just grinds your gears.
yeah. Well, like I was saying, Saban would have to come up in a scandal. The entire University of Georgia, to include the practice squad football team, would have to disappear into the Bermuda Triangle while their bus is on their way back to Athens from Atlanta, which, by the way, is an hour trip.
Wow.
Michigan would have to lose real bad, and Cincinnati's already won, so that means all hell would have to break loose. Anyway, Utah, to the University of Utah football squad, congratulations. Wishing you much success in your bowl. Man, hell, I hope they get a New Year's 6 bowl and they whop up on somebody else. Matter of fact, it would be real funny if they wound up playing against Oregon in the bowl game again. The dudes on Oregon sideline just said, I don't want to play them no more. They don't. I don't want to come. You said not to come. I did. I tried not to come back. I told them I didn't want to play y'all. No, they said no. You got to go play this bowl game. We said we don't. No, he said don't come back. You gonna beat us some more. They coming. That's
Something tells me that could happen. Something really does tell me. Like the back of your head is like they're gonna play them again.
You know, I had an absolutely stupid thought as I was watching the seconds tick off the clock. I looked over at my wife. I said, you know what would be real funny? If Kirby and Nick put their heads together and said, you want Notre Dame in the playoffs? Nope. You? Nope. What are we going to do about it? All of a sudden, voila, 24-41. I know I'm just crazy. You know, does that make me crazy? But shout outs to Sean and Janae of Let's Talk Football. Doing big things. They're doing big things over there. Yeah, I'm Sean Spencer, and I'm Janae Struther, and welcome to Let's Talk Football. Does that make me crazy? Nah, I clown because I love y'all. At the end of the day, it's 2 SEC teams. It's 2 SEC teams in the CFP. We're hoping.
I'm about to copyright that. Oh,
you about to copyright? Oh, Sean, you about to copyright it? Oh, hey, look, hey, you better do it before I put it on a T-shirt. Oh man, wait a minute. We need to. You know what, Sean? You just gave me an idea. Give me a minute. We gonna have some Shout Out King T-shirts for you in a little bit. You need to give me a picture of you doing this. I need a picture of that.
Oh.
Let's Talk Football is about to have some Shout Out King T-shirts, and they will be available for sale.
That.
I tell you what, I'll design them. I'll send it to you so that way Let's Talk Football. That money can go straight to the Let's Talk Football. So, but I got you, bro. I got you. Hey, Cat. Michigan team is winning today.
Should have beat them, but no.
Hey. I want my man to have a peaceful family life at home. You trying to stir up trouble. What are you doing?
We lost to them.
Who, Maryland?
We lost to Michigan.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you got me for a second. You said we, and I do it too. And my first thought, no matter how much I know exactly what you meant was but I'm gonna leave that alone. Anyway, oh man, look, brother, I do appreciate having you on.
Thank you for having me.
This is about all the time I told my wife I was gonna do this evening. And shout outs to the missus if you're watching. I love you. Thank you for watching the game with me today. Sorry that the dogs couldn't pull off a win, but
and congratulations to the Dallas Cowboys being the New Orleans Saints Thursday night.
If you don't stop, hey, look, I got this, man. Look, don't do that to me. You trying to throw me and Sean under the bus? Talking about we should have beat Michigan. Congratulations to Dallas winning. Now, Kat talk about you better get your boy Nate, and my wife would be like, you better get your boy Nate. I'd be like, I love you, bro. Oh man.
Oh goodness.
But this has been this week's special edition of This Week in the SEC. Collin and I will be back on Monday. Shout out to my co-host, the brother from another, my Georgia brother, Collin P. We'll be back on Monday. We're going to unpack all of the rest of the playoffs for your viewing pleasure. We're going to talk about, at that point, the rankings will be out tomorrow. So we're going to unpack all of that for you. Make sure you come back and check us out. Nathan, again, thank you, sir. We appreciate you.
Yes,
hey,
sir.
Folks, on behalf of my guest, Mr. Nathan Snell, the Big Nate Podcast on YouTube. One Nathan Snell is his YouTube channel. Yours truly, Mr. Fingaz from Zagnif Central. We appreciate y'all joining us this evening. Y'all go enjoy your rest of your evening and enjoy the rest of the games. We'll see you later. Holla. And you know what? Yeah, we lost today, but this is for all of y'all. Go Dogs. See ya.
Go Turbans.